Welcome back. It's us again. And if you didn't notice, we didn't actually post a video last episode because it was all blurry because we are still learning. And I am a slow learner if you guys haven't figured it out yet. But
yeah, well, I'm a little upset because I looked like an 80s dream last time.
You
And
did.
no one but you will ever know.
Well, I'm the only one that matters anyways.
Oh.
So welcome back. I'm your host, Riley. This, of course, is the Latchkey Kids podcast. And with me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Marinda, my girlfriend.
Hey.
She's the bestest girlfriend.
Oh,
So let's just dive right into it. I just finished listening to a podcast about crime, but it wasn't murder. Well, I guess it kind of, no, it wasn't murder. If you count murder by police, but like
they can.
Only
Police can murder.
Only if it's bad guy. I don't feel like it doesn't count if it's actual bad guys, right?
Yeah, they call that suicide by cop.
Well, these guys weren't committing suicide. They were earning it.
Right, but I mean, like when you don't surrender, when you've done something bad and you don't surrender.
So the podcast I listened to was talking about the North Hollywood Shootout. Do you remember that?
Give me some context.
Okay, so the
I
North Hollywood.
I do. When did it happen?
1997, and it was probably It's not the first, but it was right in line with like when mainstream media was like broadcasting active, like right after the O.J. Simpson car chase, shit like that, right? It was in that era, and it happened on February 28th. So right now I'm reading from the NBC LA app from the archives. The 1997 North Hollywood Shootout happened on February 28th, 1997. Two heavily armed bank robbers in body armor exchanged a storm of gunfire with Los Angeles police, police, in the streets of North Hollywood. No officers or bystanders were killed in the terrifying 44-minute shootout, but some officers did get fucked up. So these dudes, their names were Larry Phillips and Emil Mataseranu. Emil was like 6'4", maybe, right in there. He's over 6 foot. Larry is like 5'11". He's a white guy. People think he's funny.
Okay.
If you know, you know. So both big bodybuilders, like not big bodybuilders, big into bodybuilding.
Okay.
So Emil is Armenian. And he moved to L.A. with his mom, and he was a loser. And in school, basically the quintessential kind of person that's gonna antisocial, got picked on a lot. His mom ran a facility for, I want to say, mentally handicapped adults.
Okay.
So he grew up doing that. And let's see here. Let's read more here. So, anyways, they had already been robbing a couple of banks. Now, I'm not going to get it as into detail as the guys in the podcast did, but they had already robbed a couple of banks, and they were known as the High Incident Bandits. The question I have for you is, did you remember ever watching that on TV? Because it was live, it was broadcasted on TV.
No, I do not remember that.
So I do. I remember.
You must have been young, because I would have been like 8.
Yeah, I was 5. I vaguely remember it. So let me set the scene for you. I'm not paying attention. I was standing in the windowsill with a retractable sword, lightsaber, cowboy boots, chones, and a T-shirt.
Adorable.
Right. And I don't think anybody was in the living room at the time. It's just the middle of the day. Because this shit went down at like in the middle of the fucking day, broad daylight. But I remember being in there playing, and I look on the TV, and it's a live broadcast, and I see like the one scene that I remember is basically the one that you can look up to. It's the one you're going to see.
Right.
It's in the beginnings of the shootout, and there's a white car in front of the bank. One of the shooters is shooting over the white car at the police, and it's from a helicopter, and you can just see a man dressed in black ski mask and everything, shooting at the cops. And they're like broadcasting it. And then they didn't show this obviously, but he starts shooting at the helicopters.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So Now, to get into some details, since you didn't watch it, I didn't, and at the time, I didn't even understand what was going on. Right? I was like, oh, something on the news. But it was live. It took me listening to this podcast and finding out about it.
To have a recovered memory and go, oh, no, I saw that.
Oh, my God. I think I watched that. Like, even in Texas, it was big. But the fucking footage from it is wild. But let me give you what happened. So, events unfold. So, skip over some of these paragraphs. What they did was they went in, they took a bunch of phenobarbital, which I believe is like a...
What does that do?
Basically, it's supposed to chill you out.
I was going to say, I
think it's like a beta blocker or something.
I was like, I figured it was a downer. Why would you do that before a bank robbery?
So they can stay calm. But nobody tells you that phenobarbital also fucks you up a little bit. You get confused.
Yeah.
You go time blind, so you don't realize how long you've been doing something. It's hard to focus, but it keeps you chill.
Yeah, it seems like you'd want to be kind of sober for an important job like that.
You'd think, but
I guess these aren't sober choices anyway, you know.
No, these are two. They had hit a bank before. They hit an armored truck once, and then they hit a bank. And
this is not same day, right?
No, this is
just previously.
Previously, and they had gotten away with about 1.5 million, it's believed, from robbing banks.
Stop.
Yeah, stop. Fucking stop.
In 1997?
Yeah.
Buddies, y'all are good.
It's like $1 billion now, right?
You are so set.
Well, yeah, but these are people who just want to party, you know what I'm saying? They just want to go. You
can party pretty hard on that amount of money.
Well, imagine this, right? Both of them, Larry Phillips is what was kind of a little man syndrome kind of dude. He's 5'11", which isn't small, but little. And then you've got Emil Monteserrano, who is I just like saying that whole name, who is a ogre who's been made fun of his whole life. Mm-hmm. So the rush of importance that I can imagine they felt over being called the high incident bandits, right?
What does that translate to? Like they hurt a lot of people?
Basically, they were like a smash and grab, like smash you in the face and take all your money, shoot up the place, all kinds of shit. So starts out, they show up to the bank. I'm gonna give you my version of this. They show up to the bank. They're all fucked up on phenobarbital. They just pull up in front of the bank, get out. There's a dude leaving. They fucking kick him in the chest, get his ass back. They probably shoved him, but whatever. Kick him in the chest. Kick him through the doors. He flies 30 feet, hits the teller's counter. You know what I'm saying? Rage Against the Machine kicks on. I don't know where from, but
sure,
no.
Yeah.
So they did bust in and shove a dude like right back into the bank.
Let him go home,
right?
man.
Emil does a Golden Joe and the Suggins move and shoots rounds off into the ceiling, gets everybody's attention, right? And they start, moving through with the bank robbery. They want all the money in the bank, like all the money in the vault, I mean. They're not fucking with the cash registers. And since there were so many robberies, like there were 97 through the 90s apparently was a huge time for robberies in LA. So banks went from being, your fucking small town bank where you could easily rob them to having bandit glass to having
a lot more
protection. So they come in there and they have the Chinese equivalent to AK-47, still heavy armed. So much gun. They go in there with those. What are they called? Okay, it doesn't matter. You don't care.
I don't care about guns.
I don't care about the guns.
I don't care about the guns.
But Emil has on a big jumpsuit like Michael Myers, with just one with a bulletproof vest reinforced with steel plates and nothing on his legs and a ski mask.
Okay.
Larry Phillips, who, if I'm being honest, if I'm gonna rob a bank, I'm gonna do it like Larry. Larry has body armor, Kevlar up here, and then he took Kevlar and cut it into strips and covered his legs with the Kevlar as well.
Here's the thing: I'm going in a full suit of armor.
Basically
I'm going in chainmail and fucking squeak the thingy down when I go in with just a little slit for my eyes. I'm going in there,
All stiff
Yeah.
with a halberd, just throw it on the fucking counter. Anyways, so he's all fucking decked out. Now Larry, he comes from apparently a family of criminals. His dad's locked up for I don't think it was for robbery, but his dad was later reported as saying like Larry told him, he didn't tell him he was gonna rob it, but he said I will never go to prison. So Larry put all that armor on because he was going to bang it out in the street. He was holding court in the street that day.
Yeah.
So they come in, they start robbing. Go ahead. Question?
I get that, I guess, also, but, like, why are we expecting to be caught now? If we've gotten away with it at least twice before, 2 or 3 times before, why is today the day we think we're going to get caught? You know?
Well,
or did he go in decked out these other
went
times
in with
too?
It.
These other times before. Okay.
I definitely went in with this shit before.
Okay.
Like, they were known as the high incident is what that meant, right? They're coming in heavy.
Right.
Just 2 of them. So they go in. It is Larry on crowd work, Emil on the
tellers.
On the tellers. So they go to the back. He grabs one of the bank managers, wants him to open the vault. Well, the bank manager has to have 2 keys to open the vault. Smashes him in the face, goes and grabs the other key, makes him open it up, then starts making him load the money. Now, Emil's not so stupid that he doesn't want to start checking the money first for trackers and
die packs and
die
stuff,
packs
yeah.
and all that. Little does he know that he was a little bit too late with that, probably because of the phenobarbital. A little bit too late checking with that, and the bank manager, I don't know, they didn't say if it was knowingly or unknowingly, but had already dropped the die pack in there, a stack with a die pack in it.
Uh-huh.
So I think he ends up only getting like 30,000, not very much. Maybe 130,000, something like that out of there. Not near as much as they had gotten before. So
you got to know when to walk away from the table.
Yeah,
when you're gambling, you got to know when to walk away.
Yeah, and I want to say at this point, the podcast reported that they had been in the bank for 7 minutes. I'm not a bank robber, and I'm going
minutes.
Too long. You guys are
too many
you
minutes.
got 2 minutes. Every movie I've ever watched, you got no longer than like 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You guys are wrong. So
because I'm pretty sure they still had the switch under the teller counters in the 90s.
By this point, the silent alarms had been triggered.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about robbing a place fully Kevlar'd out at fucking, I don't know, 10 o'clock in the morning. Somebody across the street from a mall, somebody's going to see you. And somebody saw him, so they called the cops. And just go off on a quick tangent here. If you ever wondered, I'm gonna say one thing for to support some of the militaristic spending of police budgets. Okay, in the 90s, in 1997, squad cars that got called to this bank robbery. I told you that these guys had the equivalent of an AK-47 on them, right?
Yeah.
These are fucking weapons, right? These cops showed up with snub-nosed 38s, 9mm, and a pump shotgun. You're not doing fuck all from unless you're 20 feet away from people with high capacity, illegally, but illegal, but fully automatic weapons. Like, these guys are going to war, and before you start saying like, and I know a lot of people don't, but right now there's like a big push to be shitty about the militaristic budgets, and it's definitely a good point in somewhere like Abilene, right? People aren't banging it out in the streets, but that gets fucking like there's a precedent for that because before, I want to say, and let me look this up just so I'm not wrong, how many cops were there. Oh, by the way, these guys, Larry was 26 and Emil was 30. So they're not even like old dudes who've been doing this for a while. They're my age, a little younger. So SWAT officers were 18 minutes away. Let's see.
That also took them way too long to get there.
Well, they I guess they thought they were going to handle it, right? So let me tell you the worst part about this. So there's a guy. I think he was one of the first cops on the scene. He shows up. He takes a shot in the chest and the leg and is pinned down behind his car. and these bullets are just ripping through his car. Some of the bystanders, excuse me, some of the bystanders were like behind cars, behind the police cars, trying to take cover, and some of the rounds skipped up and were hit one guy on one of his body parts.
On one of his body parts.
Yeah, on
one of his
his
many body parts.
But I think his name was Larry, not Larry. I can't remember what the cop's name was. The cop though is pinned down, and he's on dispatch, and he's telling them, I need assistance, and all the dispatcher can do is just keep telling him to hang in there. Worst part is his fiance or girlfriend has a police scanner and is listening to him.
Oh no!
Bleed. Oh, he didn't die, obviously, but because nobody died except for the robbers. But she's listening to him,
possibly dying.
Possibly. Well, at a certain point, he stops responding, and they can't get him to respond.
What a nightmare.
Two other cops finally they can't get to him, so they finally get out of there. They bust through this fucking glass door. They just run through it, bust the glass door down, run up the stairs into a building and into a dentist's office. And one of them's bleeding, and they're both bleeding bad, but one of them's bleeding real fucking bad. And so the dentist and his people have to they set up like a field hospital right there and start doing all that shit. Like it was a fucking war zone. And and they used to put that shit on NBC.
Yeah.
They even had the news footage. Now they didn't show it on ours, I'm sure, but on YouTube I went and watched the news footage of these fucking maniacs, and they fucking leave the scene, right? There's a whole bunch that I'm kind of skipping over, but whatever. They leave, and Larry is like walking outside of the car shooting, and then he takes a shot in his hand, and either it fucks up his arm or it fucks up the gun. He goes to the back, opens the trunk, gets another fucking gun out, starts ripping those motherfuckers, and by this time the SWAT team has finally showed up. I forgot one important thing. So,
very less organized crime corner for you guys.
Well, it is what it is. One of the things that probably helped get them caught was the bank's had cash machines, right? ATMs. Okay. So in a back room. So they went to the back to get the ATMs, and they just start ripping fucking shots into them in an enclosed room, and bullets are just ricocheting everywhere, and it hits the bank manager that's in there with him, and doesn't kill him, just hits him.
Yeah.
And there's nothing there. So what they had done was they stopped giving bank employees access to the cash machines, and the only people that could access them were armored car guards. What they would do is they would come in every night at midnight, take all the cash out, and then they would bring it back. Or maybe they brought the cash in at midnight, whatever. Yeah. But they took it out. They never left the cash in there. So they didn't get any of that fucking cash anyways. But they went ahead and made the most fucking noise. And so everybody
alerted literally everybody.
It was the worst.
Earshot.
Yeah, they're all fucked up on phenobarbital. So anyways.
You can't be greedy. Like we said, 2 minutes. 5 if you're fucking lucky. You go in and you take immediately what is available and then go.
Absolutely. If you want to know how to rob a bank, come talk to us.
Don't. I don't want to be an accessory, but this is not the way.
The way to rob a bank is to
don't
have
do it.
Really good have really good credit, amazing credit.
Do it in 1910. Do it in the Old West, even better. Walk into a place and say, "Give me your money," and they're like, "All right."
You got to do it like.
And then you can leave town and nobody knows who you are, and you just have the money now.
Like the old whites, you got to do it like them. All right, you get a really good credit score, and then you borrow so much money that the bank can't afford to call in your loan because they'll fucking go bankrupt if they do that.
Oh, you mean Alex Murdaugh?
Yeah, that's how you do that.
Yeah.
Every rich guy does that.
Yeah, but you can't do it unless you are a rich white man that looks like he's made from mashed potatoes.
Yeah, and as long as you don't murder your wife and kid and the housekeeper and steal and like legitimately steal money from people, you can keep doing that for as long as you live. Just ask anybody, any white man, they'll tell you. Uh, you know what the most dangerous animal I think we have in the world right now? The most like cunning and just
You're giving white men
can't
too much
trust
credit
'em.
with this. I don't know if you would call
It's
it
not all white
cunning.
men. No. It's not all white men. It is specifically slick bald white men. Those are the ones. Those are the most dangerous creatures.
The Lex Luthers.
Yes, the Lex Luthor. Every Jeff Bezos, right? Could have been Elon if he hadn't got hair plugs.
Did he used to be bald?
He was balding for sure.
Okay.
I
Why
mean,
does he like
Steve Jobs because he got cancer, so that counts still. Still counts. You got. I mean, cancer doesn't mean that you're not. A
Why
powerful
does
white man.
Elon Musk look like he was born with bad plastic surgery? You know what I mean?
I think that's just on the unfortunate shape of his face.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it looks like he's had some pretty bad facelifts and fillers, but he's kind of always looked like that from what I can gather.
So that's how he's just weird looking guy. But I mean, he's a weird guy. Anyways, so Larry's walking down the street, popping off shots at the SWAT team. My favorite part about the SWAT team is they had to scramble so fast that I think the SWAT team commander shows up in shorts, a white T-shirt, bulletproof vest, SWAT helmet, and tennis shoes because he was somewhere else.
He was at
a
dinner.
barbecue.
Yeah, he was at a barbecue.
And you get to see on the video though, Larry die. And it's not like super close, right?
I love that you said "get to." Like
you get to though
you
because
have the privilege of
because
seeing...
so I see a headshot, like I see him get shot in the fucking head, and it is wild to see somebody get shot in the head.
Yeah.
You don't see anything fall off like the JFK video because he's got a fucking ski mask on, but it's almost worse. All you see is the dust go off of his head, and he just hits the fucking ground like that video of. That one guy that got shot on his front porch. That shit was shocking. The way he hit the ground. Oh my God. He fell so... If y'all haven't seen that video on our Discord channel, go watch the video of our crime corner of old boy getting his ass killed on his front porch.
Yeah, you can find it pretty easy because we ain't be posting in there. But...
Yeah, it's like one of the only ones in there.
Man, did that part air on the news or no?
Yes. I'm assuming that aired on the news because I found it like it's the aerial news helicopter shot of that.
Yeah. Ooh.
Which like, here's what I love still about our culture. If that happened today, right? Obviously not bank robbers, but let's a mass shooter, right? That's our
new thing.
That's our new thing. But say we
that's super sad because it kind of is, right? Because bank robbing was way more prevalent before everything became so electronic and so easily monitored and stuff like that, right?
Yes,
like,
yeah,
it would be because within the last couple of years, somebody robbed a bank here in Abilene, and I remember talking to my coworkers about it, like, how the fuck did you do that, and how do you plan on getting away with this? Because long term, it's that money is traceable. Like, you're not gonna get very far with that. But yeah, now mass shooting is definitely way more of a thing that's kind of taken the airtime and the news time of bank robbery, which I don't know. Honestly, I'd rather people take money from banks. Fuck, I mean, you know.
Yeah, all right. Instead of killing children, that's definitely a better option.
Yeah. Y'all just go steal from Walmart or something, you know?
Right.
Just do that instead.
So Larry gets dropped, and Emil's still driving the car. So he kind of just...
So Larry was outside of the car when
walking beside it. Okay. And it's kind of assumed that Larry's like, this is it. Like, I'm going down. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't get in. I'm not trying to escape, really. I'm going down.
Yeah,
so he died. So he did. And then Emil's driving, and he's taking some shots. He
can't be going very fast, right?
No, he's not.
I'm assuming they've got a police blockade or something.
So he's trying to go out, and then he runs. It's a van or a maroon truck. Anyways, he pulls up beside this maroon truck, and is going to jack it because they take out the engine block, I think, of the car he's in. So he starts loading all his shit into the truck, and there's this old dude that was driving it. He makes Emil get out, But before he gets out, and this is probably what kept Emil from getting away, because
Wait, he makes Emil get out, or Emil
makes him get out.
Okay.
But this is probably what kept him from escaping, because keep in mind, like, the SWAT team's there, but they're still laying heavy fire down on these people. So like there's not a lot of people there.
Yeah.
Still. So he's the old man, before he gets out, there's a switch in his truck that he can hit, I guess, for carjackings. But if he hits it, the truck won't start. And so before he gets out, he hits that switch. And so Emil's getting in, the truck won't start. He's trying to start the truck, can't get it. So he gets out, and they start just like laying into him, and they notice like he's just pow, pow, pow in his chest, taking the shots. And he's fucking 6'3", 300 pounds.
Covered in Kevlar and...
Yeah. So one of the
else.
cops drops down to the ground and just starts like laying into his legs, and then another cop drops down and starts shooting him in the legs. So Emil hits the ground and they arrest him. There's a picture of him, this photographer, the Pulitzer Prize winning photographer took of him on the ground, like he's got like blood on his face, and you can see his face. So, you know, that's the summary of the robbery. Afterwards, so he's been shot several times. Afterwards, they're trying to get emergency services into there, but they hold off emergency services for like an hour to him.
Oh, okay. I was like, there's other people.
And he ends up bleeding out in the street. And one of the worst things was on the aerial footage, that cop that I'm talking about that was on the radio, people got to, this is how cool the helicopter was, got to watch him sit there and bleed on the fucking pavement, trying to get help. So luckily nobody fucking died. But
except the bad guys.
That's the second time I've listened to that podcast, and I was like, I need to ask, because this is definitely latchkey stuff or latchkey era. But I need to ask if you'd ever seen that. When did Columbine happen? Do you think Posh Spice is nice?
99? No.
Sorry. Okay. 99 or 2000?
Or 90. It was late 90s. I don't think it was into 2000.
Do you remember that?
Columbine, yes.
What do you remember?
I don't remember seeing live. Well, okay.
No, I didn't have to be like. Just what do you remember about?
I remember.
Just anything.
I remember the news coverage. I guess after the fact, but I don't. It was just kids, because the news vans or whatever didn't show up until like all of the kids, or the kids that had been evacuated or escaped, are like in the parking lot. And I remember there being like misinformation because nobody knew what was going on, and they're interviewing kids right on the spot who've just been absolutely traumatized.
How did you feel though? Like, what? Obviously, the situation you remember some, but like, do you remember how like you felt hearing about that?
Afraid.
Like when you went.
I mean, it felt like it was my school. Like it felt like it could have been anywhere. And because they tried to spin the story that Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold were bullied, and that this was their retaliation, and they had like a kill list or whatever. And I can't remember which. I want to say it was Eric Harris. One of them was popular and like, a nice guy. Like people had good things to say about him. And I could be misremembering which one it was, but one of them had like a good reputation and was a nice guy and was fairly popular. And it was just that feeling of that could be your friend. Mm-hmm. And you wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like you would never know.
Right.
And then I remember going to school, and anytime anybody's wearing a coat that's too big or a backpack that's too fat, being concerned, because it was just like those were the only signs.
Right.
Right. Like potentially.
It makes more sense.
1999, April 20th, 1999.
So I was closer.
I was closer. I literally said
Oh, I
1999,
thought you
and
said
you said,
1998 or something like that, and I said 2000.
and I said it was late 1990.
Yeah,
or,
you
or
right.
late 90s.
You were
90s.
right.
Yeah,
Anyways.
I know.
So it was different for me. Obviously, I was 99. I was only 7, so I was like in 2nd grade.
I was about to go into middle school, which was the scariest part for me.
Yeah, because you're already full of anxiety about middle school, and now school shooters are a thing.
Right. And it's like I'm going to go into a new school with older kids because that was a high school.
Right.
But still, it was just like, okay, well, fuck. In the middle school, I went to a very like new, nice elementary school. In the middle school I went to was more of a mix of different people. Like it covered the nice neighborhoods and it covered the 4-way, and it was like a mix of everybody. And yeah, the fear of like not knowing everybody I was going to go to school with and older kids and all of this, and it was just like, oh.
Do you remember the school shooter drills? Did you guys have those?
We didn't have to do those.
Oh.
Well, no, okay. We did them maybe once or twice, and it was very brief. It was, if something happens, the teacher's gonna lock the door, and you all huddle in the back of the room or under your desks, and that was pretty much it. Like, we did tornado drills and fire drills way more often than we did school shooter, because I think we may have only done it once, and it may have been, like, right after Columbine.
We did it a couple of times, I remember, throughout school. And obviously, I'm pretty positive that we had several more school shootings before either of us graduated.
Oh, yeah.
Some of them were in high school, but I'm pretty positive we had several more that probably, some of them weren't reported, but.
Well, they didn't, I feel like school shootings, like.
Did
Columbine,
Sandy Hook happen while we were in school still?
No, I think Sandy Hook was after. Well,
Shortly
you
after?
might have been still in school. But I think, like, Columbine was, I don't think it was the first necessarily, but I think it was the one that got
best. I'm sorry.
Fucking hell, Riley. No, I think it was
That
the one
wasn't
that
were you were
caught.
going?
No, I think it was
I'm
the one
sorry.
that caught the attention of the nation. But I think we definitely had some after that didn't get the same kind of coverage, and I don't know if it was because we were still like we were too afraid
2012,
to
right
talk
after
about
I
it.
graduated.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was thinking. Why did I remember that? But
Well, I remember our drills. So, like, you went to big school the whole time. I went to only small school pretty much. Clyde.
I mean, Abilene big school, yeah.
Well, I mean, how many kids were in your class?
I don't fucking know.
Exactly. I know exactly how many kids were in
Yeah.
my. Yeah. So, I can say that I had the probably exact opposite feeling of yours. This is not going to happen here. Right? And it's not that it wouldn't, right? Like that's just a naivety of a kid.
That's the
right?
happy thing that I told myself.
Right. And
That's how I got to school. Like, that's how I got myself to get up and go to school. It was like,
Right.
that's not going to happen.
But that's the naivety of a preteen and adolescent. But I remember doing the drills.
Which were?
So this is what happens. Hey, we're doing a intruder, not school shooter,
Yeah.
intruder drill. Which we all fucking just say school shooter. We all know what you're talking about.
I think that's what they probably called ours, something like that
Yeah.
too. Because I remember thinking while we were doing it that it was going to be like, in my mind, who we're locking the door against is an older man.
Yeah.
Like not my classmate, not a high school student. Like
So, but I remember them. You do the drill, but they would set an alarm, like they would alarm
Sound
would
an
go
alarm.
off. And the first thing I thought was, you think you're going to be able to do that? You don't think that he's going to
Yeah.
murder all of you in the office immediately? That's the first place they're going, right? Like if they're going to walk into the school. Secondly, you think they're going to walk into the school?
Yeah, or they're not going to the office,
Yeah.
and you won't know until
They've already,
butchered a classroom.
butchered, at least a couple of classrooms. Like, they're going to go to so we're in there, the teacher shuts the door and locks it. And then we all huddle away from the glass, away from the door, all that shit. And I remember thinking, like, we're all going to die right now. Like, you know what we just did? We all got in a big fucking pile for him because it's going to take nothing.
We just became a barrel of fish.
Yeah, because it's going to take absolutely nothing for him to shoot that lock. If he wants in here, he can shoot that lock immediately. No,
or
no
shoot
fucking
through the
problem.
glass and then reach in and
Yeah,
unlock
exactly.
the door.
This is not going to stop him, right? And I used to, like, in my head, and obviously probably wouldn't have worked out that way, but the fantasy I would always have is I'm sprinting towards him immediately. I'm either sprinting towards him or getting the fuck out, which should be the move, right? If you have an intruder, open the fucking window and get the fuck out of this classroom.
Yeah, that's the move.
Get outside.
Get outside.
Yeah. And that was what I was like, why are we not, but like the move should be, we have an emergency window here, and as soon as we hear it, get your ass out of that window.
Yeah,
go.
lock the door still, slow him down.
Right. Slow
lock
him
the
down
door
and
still,
get out of the window.
but get out the fucking window.
Right, and it was like, you guys don't even take this shit seriously. A fucking tornado drill, get under your desk. I'm sorry, it's not bolted down. Right?
I accidentally almost throw this desk on the floor every time I stand up.
Yeah.
Do you think
It's going to keep me, you think?
at best, it's going to keep a rock from falling on me, maybe.
Yeah, what's
But,
going to hold it down? This fucking algebra and science rocks book? It's
Nothing.
fucking stupid. So, but I used to think it's not going to happen here. Simply because everybody has a gun already. Like you pull up to school. They used to have to make an announcement at Knox City to not bring your guns to school anymore, because it was dove season, and he would Mr. Principal, I don't know his name, would come into the. He literally came in one morning. This is high school, but comes in and is like, "I know dove season starting. Just want to let y'all know, need to leave your guns at the house, even if you are going right after this, or you come in from dove hunting. Please leave your guns. Don't leave your guns in your truck." Or, so this was my favorite though. Oh shit!
That is absolutely
let me actually.
insane to me.
I told that story wrong, because it's actually better. So he didn't tell us not to bring our guns to school. This is actually what was happening. So he comes in that morning, and he says, "Hey guys, we're having the canine come to school tomorrow, and I know dove season's opened up. Y'all make sure to leave your guns at the house so that dog doesn't trigger on all your trucks." So he warns us before the canine comes in, because we wouldn't be we wouldn't take drugs except to school, because that didn't make any sense. You just pour alcohol in a big toss-ups and walk into your second period English class. But
I am losing my mind.
and everybody was like, "Oh yeah, thanks. No, that's a good idea." And then, like, if you told a parent that, they'd have been like, "Well, good thing he told y'all. Goddamn, you'd have been in trouble." This is what you get when you go to I say small. That's what I'm talking about. Small town.
This is fucking insane.
Yeah, we used to. I've told you about the fact that the security we had there was me and Zach pulling a schizophrenic boy off of our fucking principal.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We used to sneak out in the ag trailer and shotgun beers out there. One time we took a bunch of Keystone out there and they were too cold. It was like Beer Fest, where they try to chug it.
Yeah.
It was all too cold. We all got headaches. I ended up not shotgunning my second one. I was like, I'm just going to drink it regular.
Yeah, people drank in high school. That's whatever. It's the fact that guns at school were so prevalent that the principal gave you a heads up.
Yeah, to get your gun out of there.
What?
We weren't going to bring it in.
What?
I had when I was in Albany, I had the dog trigger on my. So this was cool. So my dad, let me start this story from the beginning. So my dad was busted both his Achilles tendons in half at the same time. So he had a massive surgery about it. We get into that later.
Had a massive surgery about it.
Yeah,
Okay.
he had to have a surgery about it. They had to do a surgery on him, and here's a cool thing. Here's a cool thing they do with your Achilles tendons when you tear them, kids. So one of them was shredded, like so many tendrils, right? And so
Like beef jerky when you bite into it.
And one of them looked like it had just been cut with a knife.
Pet Cemetery style.
Yeah. So that one wasn't all the way, I think, like cut or whatever, torn. So they sewed it back together, I think. But the
seems
shredded
unstable
one,
to me.
The shredded one, they just take the tendon and they just tie it in a knot, and then they leave it there. And
also seems unstable.
One cool thing about this is, as my dad's 15/16-year-old caretaker, thank God for my aunt who moved in with us for basically 6 months while he recovered, and I worked at the ranch for him. He had on one of them. Now I don't know if this was because of the surgery, like it was planned, like part of it, or if this was just something that happened. But oh god damn, just thinking about it, fucking. So he had a spot like that big of it's an open wound, and you could see the tendon. It was white, like fucking like white, and I used to have to. And when my aunt came in, she started doing it, but I used to have to clean it for him. And I would take the gauze off, get a Q-tip, and you don't have to like go into it, like you didn't have to like stick it in there, but you have to like rub antibiotic all over it so that wound will start to do that, and you have to fucking clean it like 2 times a day, right? And he couldn't get out of bed, so we'd do that and then get him put in his bed. That's the end of that. Yeah, he broke. I'm not gonna get into it.
Yeah, how is it relevant to guns and
so
dogs?
That's what I'm doing right at this point
in your life.
The drug dog comes to Albany. They don't tell nobody. They also drug tested us at Albany, which was weird. I never got drug tested at any school.
We didn't do that that I'm aware of.
Yeah, they didn't. Yeah,
because they didn't do it to me. If they did it, and I don't remember hearing anybody having to do it.
So we went. They brought the drug dog, and he alerted on my car, and so I'm like new. I'm probably like 3-4 weeks into being at school here, or maybe a little more. But
were you doing any naughties at the time?
No, I was a pretty good kid at this point. Okay. He alerts on my car, so I got to open up my trunk, and there's a fucking broken pellet gun in there, and that's what he alerts on.
What's the difference between what is a pellet gun? What is it used for?
I mean,
what does that mean?
A pellet is just a little bit more high powered, I believe. Like it packs a little more punch, and the projectile is
a little more punch than what?
Than a BB gun.
Oh, okay. So it's in between a BB gun and a normal gun.
Yeah, and so he alerts on. It was fucking broken.
Yeah.
Like it obviously doesn't work.
Right.
So that's what they alert us. They bring me out of class. I got to go open up my trunk. So they're going to search my car now. And I got that in there. And then the dog's looking, and he alerts again. And they open up my console, and I had forgotten that I had 2 or 3 bottles of hydrocodone in there that weren't mine.
Your dad's.
That were dad's.
And had his name on them. Had to have, right? If they're prescription.
So. I believe so. I can't remember why it was kind of a problem.
Because it wasn't your name.
Well,
I'm sure.
It wasn't my name, but I also want to say that maybe the bottles were old. Like they're just, you know what I mean. So it kind of looked like I also was trying to fake having prescriptions. So he's like, "What are these?" And I was like, "Oh, my dad." I tell him what's up, and he was like, "Okay." And he's like, "Well, he's gonna have to come pick them up." And I was like, "No, you don't understand. He
can't walk.
This is not a thing. This is not a thing you can do."
He can't be out of bed.
What I told him was that's not going to work, and he was like, "Why wouldn't that work?" And I said,
His
"Because
ankles are tied together.
Yeah, because
like,
he broke both of his Achilles tendons. That's why I have these. If he could get him, he would have them." And so and I said I'd pick him up this morning, whatever. Anyways, so then this motherfucker looks at my seat in my sister's. It was my sister's old car, and I've never heard this. And now, being the connoisseur of the supplement that I am, I know this is not a thing. But he looks and he goes, "Those are marijuana seed burns on your seat there. Where's that from?" And in my head, I'm going,
what?
First of all, I had smoked weed at that point, and I was like, "I'm pretty positive you're not supposed to be like seeds. Don't fall out."
Because you don't smoke them.
Yeah, and you're not supposed to smoke them. And he's like, "Yeah, those are marijuana seed burns." And the fucking principal and the head coach are standing out there with him, by the way, with this fucking asshole. And I'm like, well, it's my sister's car, so I don't know what to tell you. I've had this car for like a few weeks, right? And
yeah, this is a used car, so
I'm freaking out.
Good luck figuring that out.
So they take the pellet gun and they put it in the principal's office, and they got it. They're like, "You can come pick it up later." And I was like, "I don't fucking want that broken piece of shit."
Put it in the trash.
Yeah, and it sat in his office the rest of the year. That's the only principal I will say, though. It's the only principal I've ever had apologize to me, like genuinely bring me in and apologize for being a fucking ass. That's the only adult I had ever had apologize to me for being a fucking asshole, because I was supposed to go on this English trip, and I was late, and I was late because I woke up late in the morning. Usually I would get up at like 6, so I could feed the horses and turn them out. And I didn't wake up till like 6:30, so I didn't end up feeding the horses till like, whatever. So I'm late, and I passed the English teacher on the way to wherever the fuck they were going. I'm like, oh fuck. It's like, and by the way, it's like 7:15. It's not like it's fucking 8 o'clock. It's like 7:15 in the morning.
When were you supposed to be there? 7?
7, yeah. So I'm like, well, fuck it, whatever. They call me into the office, and he sits me down, and he's like, he just starts in, and he's like, "Why didn't you make it to that English trip this morning?" And I mean, you could tell that
he's being accusatory.
Well, he is already ready for this, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna teach this fucking this young asshole how to fucking be a man, whatever, right? So I'm like, well, I had to, and he goes, "When you tell somebody you're gonna be somewhere, you need to be on time. They sat here and they waited for you." And I said, well, they didn't. In my head, they're like, "They didn't wait that fucking long." Yeah, they didn't wait that fucking long. But sure. And he's like just, being responsible, and how that's irresponsible. Somebody else could have taken that trip. You took a spot on that trip, and there were a bunch of people that wanted to go, and it's kind of a big fucking deal. Yada, yada, yada. Piss and moan, bitch and crap. So I don't get a chance to say anything. And he says, you should apologize to Mr. Lucas when he gets back. And I'm like, "Yes, sir." So I just get out and leave. Miss Corbin, shouts out to her, secretary, gets up and goes in there and goes, "You do know that his father broke both of his Achilles tendons I don't know how long ago, and he has been working on that ranch and taking care of his father and their animals." Because I told him I had to feed my horses this morning, and he was like, "You need to get up earlier than do that, right?" And anyway, she goes, "You do know that that's what's going on with him right now." And so then he calls me right back into the fucking office, and I'm like, "Man, fuck you, like whatever, dude." So I go back in there, and he was like, "Raleigh, I think I owe you an apology." And I was like, "For what?" And he was like, "Well, I shouldn't have talked to you that way, not knowing your situation." And here's my favorite is, "If you ever need anything, call me." And it's like, I'm not calling you for anything, dude. Like, don't say that. Because the things I need, I'm not going to ask you, don't want to do, and I don't want to ask you for. Because, but I'll give it to the...
I'll come over and clean my dad's foot wounds for me? You want to rub some
gnarly
antibiotic ointment on my
wound?
dad's tendons, or
It
no?
was so gnarly. At first, too, because it would be bloody. Anyways, that was fucking gross. So
That's fun.
let's change the subject from school shootings and my dad's open wounds to, and this struck me the other morning because I'd be laying there scrolling, and I saw a reel, and it was of Rage Against the Machine, and it's like an early or mid '90s, you know, right before they're who they are, interview, and the lead singer's spouting off his horse shit like he does, and I just want to say that I felt so vindicated now. This particular video, everybody's like, hell yeah, brother, Rage Against the Machine, yeah, right? But most of their comment sections are now filled with, you guys are the machine, right? Because it's $182 for one nosebleed ticket. Tenacious D is $34. Just letting you know.
There's an interview, a Nirvana interview on... I'm sure they were on MTV or some shit, and they
I did make the comparison of Rage Against the Machine and Tenacious D. Same level of famous for me.
Sure, yeah. But there's an interview where they tell the guys in Nirvana how much, I think it's like Celine Dion. They tell them how much some other person's tickets are, and their faces are just like, and people, the fans can afford that, like, and that was the immediate reaction is like, but the fans, like, why?
Well, in fairness, Celine Dion, if it's Celine Dion, she's singing to the fans. She's singing.
It may not have been Celine
Dion. That's her
demographic.
demographic.
But anyways, somebody big,
right? Yeah.
But like, and at the time, Nirvana was just as big.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Like Nirvana was massive.
Yes.
And they're like, nah, I mean, $15. Like,
well, right. That's not who got you here. But it's so funny to me because this is what it was. Ever since the first time I heard Rage Against the Machine, it's not like I didn't like it, but not that big of honestly, not that big of a fan. I like a couple of songs.
They're fine. All their songs sound the same to me.
They're fine. Yeah, exactly. Tom Morello is a sick guitarist, but other than that, like, they all pretty much sounded like Tom Morello song. It's the same shit. But I remember thinking, like, this is a bad, even as a kid, and I do mean as a kid, I remember thinking, this is a bad direction for you to go. Like, this was a bad idea. And the reason I thought that was because, see, here's the thing with stapling yourself to fighting the power, is you cannot then start to wield power.
Yeah.
Because the moment that you try...
Well, and granted, they didn't and have not wielded power.
Well, you know what I'm saying, right? Like, you do, though. You do wield power.
They are not the machine, but they are part of the machine.
They are part of the machine.
The music machine. Yeah.
The problem is you married yourself to the wrong... You married yourself to not metal. Right? You're not Metallica. Here's what Metallica can do. Any fucking thing they want. They've been, doing it since, like, late 70s, right? Mm-hmm. Doing it since the late 70s. So that's when you can go, pay me $300 to come see me because I'm still fucking doing it, bitch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But also, pay me $300 to come see me because I never fucking said that you wouldn't have to fucking pay for this shit, right? Like, I'm not married to Raging Against a Machine. I am an artist trying to make some fucking money. Nobody had any misgivings about James Hetfield and Metallica on what they wanted. They wanted to make money, and they didn't even sign a fucking record deal, I don't think, until, like, in the last maybe decade or so, like an actual legitimate record deal. I feel like they sold all their albums independently at their shows or something like that. I could be wrong on that. I think I heard that somewhere, but also I don't remember stuff sometimes.
Yeah, that doesn't sound exactly right.
But I felt so vindicated now that everybody else is also, from what I've seen now that they keep popping up, is also just like, you guys, like, you can't sit here and talk about this freedom fighter and that freedom fighter and charge $185 for a nosebleed ticket because you're sold out now, right? Like, that's you are obviously selling out, and so you can't everybody. And I guess my point is, everybody now is so quick to jump on that, like, this is my identity. Mm-hmm. I'm fighting the power, and it's like, okay,
but your money.
Yeah, yes, I'm fighting the power, but also Like, but do you want to stay poor? Like, because it seems like you're not trying to be poor for somebody who obviously wants to try to, be that person. And that's fine. Like,
and it's like, you don't have to be poor, but I do hate the like out of touch celebrity tickets that are ridiculous.
Yeah, because
like it's. I mean, do you want to pack a stage? You know what I mean? Like, do you want a good show? Because I feel like as a performer, you want a packed house and you want to make yourself available.
You want to make a living doing this.
Right.
Otherwise, you wouldn't charge money for it.
And you shouldn't want to, but also you shouldn't want to price gouge the people that have been supporting you from the beginning.
Right.
You want
to at least leave
who made this possible
room
for you?
It would be one thing too if you were like, hey, if you want to be like right up on the stage where we're at, we're going to charge you a little extra, but we want to leave room. Yeah, or you want to
be in a VIP box where you can all sit down and have bottle service or whatever.
Right. That's that ain't us.
But general admin, in my opinion, for pretty much anybody, shouldn't be over $150.
Yeah. And if you're paying $150, it's because you're seeing several, in my opinion, several bands.
Well, we went to see Lady Gaga in 2012, 2013. Like, she was big, but she wasn't like, she's bigger now, definitely, for sure. But she was big. And we got general admission tickets, I want to say for like $120. But her stage it was like a horseshoe, right? And the stage was glass. So that, like, she literally dropped her fucking ass basically onto my nose. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was general admission, but we were right there. Like, I could have touched her if I had been a problem, you know?
Yeah, right.
Like, so in my opinion, worth it.
Yeah.
Would pay again. But I'm pretty sure her tickets now are a little bit more expensive.
Way more. There's got to be way more. There's no way
I'm sure there are. I'm sure they are. But it's just... It's frustrating because not every artist can be Nirvana.
Well, it's the thing, too. They can. They don't want to. But a lot of them don't like to admit it. A lot of them don't want to admit that.
Unfairly, though, artists now are making fucking bullshit with streaming.
Oh, yeah.
Comparatively to what they were making on CDs and, like, cassettes and stuff. That's why so many artists now will do vinyls and like fancy, colorful vinyls to entice you to actually purchase a physical copy so that they can make that money and it's not coming from Spotify and they get 75 cents on a royalty check. You know what I mean? Like,
it's also not lost on me too that's probably why tickets prices have gone up, right? You're not getting that money from the album. But let me throw this out here. You're a massive band. You don't think that a massive venue would allow you to be there, and you can just say, we can do $300 tickets a piece, or we can do $50 tickets a piece and have a bigger venue because more people are going to go there. So like 50 times, if you packed out like what was the Queen concert that they did with the big one. The world, you know what I'm fucking talking about. Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Was that Live
Aid? You looked
at
me like I was fucking crazy.
Well, you just said Queen. I was like...
The concert that Queen did, like the most famous concert they did, Live Aid, that one. Right? Like there were...
That wasn't just Queen, to clarify.
I know, but that's what the movie that I liked with Freddie in it, okay?
Okay.
It had Mr. Robot, and he did a good job. And anyways, but if you had one band, you don't think... Even for Rage Against the Machine, there's a bunch of Kyles and Kevins out there that dig that shit.
Oh, yeah.
They fucking pay that shit. But now, it's just... And the best part about it is, now you are singing and playing to the exact people you fucking hate.
Yeah, the people that can afford your ticket, or the people who don't identify with your music.
Yes. I would guarantee that they probably would hate 90% of their fans that show up to their concerts.
Well, here's the thing. Do you remember this anomaly during the Trump election where a lot of famous people and musicians were speaking out and getting political all of a sudden. And it was people like fucking Surge from System of a Down and Rage Against the Machine, and then people be like, just stick to music. Why are you getting political? And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, fairness
Surge,
always has
who's
been.
saying pushing little children with the fully automatics, you like to push the weak around. Oh, he's getting political all of a sudden.
Well,
I'm sorry. Fuck all the way off.
Kurt said it in oh gosh, what's the one? He's the one who likes all our pretty songs. What's that song? What's the name of that song? I'm trying to remember it now. I just lost it.
It's not Lithium.
No, it's not Lithium. It's
I can
fucking
hear
right
it.
there. Yes. Don't know what it means. Don't know what it means. That one.
Yeah. But yeah.
What is it? I got it. We're fucked. We got to know it now.
He's watching.
Kurt is watching, so we must find it.
I'm like, it's Lithium, right?
It's not Lithium. I'm pretty positive it's not Lithium.
If you tell me it's not and it is, I'm going to be mad at you.
What is it called, guys? Tell us what it's called. Listen to us.
It's In Bloom.
In Bloom. Thank you. God damn it. But anyways, he said it best in that song is you're all of you are listening to this and none of you are listening to me.
None of you know what it means.
You're all listening to this song and none of you are listening to me.
Yeah.
He did, and like so there's an interview where he sings not Underneath the Bridge, but that's the fucking first lyric, right?
Something's in the
Thank
way.
you. Something in the way. He plays that song, and I don't want to sit. I'm not sitting here saying I get Kurt. I'm just saying like I do because I'm good at context clues. Critical thinking is my skill.
Sure.
So the producer, they're trying to play that song, and Kurt keeps getting upset because it's not how it's supposed. It's too loud, and so he says that he goes in there, and he lays down in the recording booth he goes. The producer says just play it how you need. Play it how you want it to sound, and so he lays down and he gets his guitar and he strums it, and he's. Like barely hear him, and so he brings and he goes, just stay there and keep going, and he fucking brings all the shit in there, puts the mic like right fucking here, he says sing it just like that, and he goes, you have any? And then what funny part is like having Dave Grohl play that soft so he wouldn't play over him, but that little insight into him is like, yeah, of course, like. Obviously, first of all, listen to the lyrics of that song, but the way he sings it is more telling. The way he wanted it sung.
Yeah,
is
the
more
whole
telling.
vibe of that song tells you what that song's about
Right.
more than the lyrics.
Well,
to
it
the
tells
song.
you about Kurt.
Yeah.
More, in my opinion, right? Like it tells you not just what that song's about and what he was going through when he possibly going through when he wrote that, but like what his music is, and it's depressive, and it's living in a world that around people that don't understand you, and there's no way you can make them understand. Like you are trying and they don't get it, and it's like basically in my opinion it was basically like I'm just gonna do this until I get tired. And that's kind of what it was, right?
He never wanted to be famous. He held a lot of cognitive dissonance about wanting to be a musician and sharing his music and his love for music with the world. But being in the spotlight was not something he was comfortable with or ever really wanted to do.
Yeah,
like he was happy following the Melvins around.
Right.
You know, like he was happy to play house shows and shitty dive bar shows in the Pacific Northwest forever, probably.
Right.
He would have been fine.
And that is what every, I think, I guess I don't want to say celebrity, but since we're on musicians, I think that is what a lot of these musicians, they're fake leaders in that way, right? They want to sell the Kurt, right? Who's just an artist. That's just what he was, right? And he just so happened to be able to do this stuff, but he didn't even really like do it. Like, I wouldn't even say that he probably loved necessarily doing it, right? He loved the art of music.
I think he
But
liked. I think he liked writing,
Right.
writing music and playing with his friends more than he liked
Yes.
performing.
Yes. I think for him it was also like a supposed to have been a release.
Yeah,
right? Like
an
you say,
outlet.
like he didn't want to be famous, like he didn't feel comfortable with being famous, and it's probably because this was never supposed to necessarily be that. Like,
Right.
I was just having fun, and now
Yeah, and
everybody's
genuinely,
listening to
and
us.
genuinely, they never really tried that hard. Like,
Yeah,
Smells
look at
Like Teen
Dave.
Spirit is one of the lowest budget music videos ever made for one of the like highest grossing songs
Yeah.
ever. Like, they literally took in a can of hairspray and a rubber duck into the studio to put in After Effects on a fucking song.
What were the After Effects?
The fucking hairspray in a, I can't remember what song it is. It's on Bleach, I'm pretty sure, the first album, but it's just like them with a can of Aquanet near a microphone going
Well, that's what.
and then somebody else going with the fucking like squeaky toy.
The
You know,
BC
like it's meant to be, I don't want to say it's meant to be low budget, but it was meant to be accessible. Like, this is just how it was easiest for them to make their art, and not going, give me a fucking antique theremin, you
Right.
know, or a fucking choir. They're like, oh, we got it. Go get
Bring me a didgeridoo.
Yeah, go get me a 75-cent can of Aquanet, you know, and
well,
we'll
that's
make it
what
happen.
Beastie Boys did the same thing, where they not exactly this, but they for What You Want, they recorded all of his vocals through a Barbie microphone because he
Nice.
liked the way it sounded better.
Yeah, nice.
And so all of that's through. And there's another part of it too that I can't remember that it was funny the way they did it. But anyways, I don't know. That was the only point I wanted to make was that. Who would I bring up?
Rage Against the Machine,
Rage
dumb.
Against the
Nirvana,
Machine is
great.
trash. Yeah, dumb. Nirvana, great. You can quote me on that. Write that shit down. Put it in your back pocket. Take it to the bank and deposit it. But not at the bank that Emil and Larry might rob, because you might lose it. Oh, by the way, the die pack did go off in that and ruin all their money.
Well, they didn't get away with it anyway, but yeah.
So,
good.
I mean, they didn't get away with it, but I mean, the way the podcast made it sound, they could have gotten away if they hadn't have been all fucked up.
Yeah.
Like they were pretty fucking close to getting away.
If they were decked out the way that they were and armed the way that they were, and just a few cops showed up and they had 18 minutes before SWAT was going to get there, they
Yeah.
probably could have gotten away if they weren't fucking slow-mo robo-tripping, you know?
Like up until basically Larry died, the host made it seem like they still had a pretty good shot at getting away. Fucking idiots.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Don't rob a bank.
don't rob a bank. Remember that.
Don't sell out.
Don't sell out. Fucking do your thing. And if you make some fucking money, that's cool. Don't fucking get hung up on trying to stay poor. You know what I'm saying? Don't commit to that. That's dumb. Just accept that you like money and do your thing and make your money and, have a good day.
Jesus,
I don't
dude,
know.
get it together.
Anyways, we're an hour and 8 minutes in. What am I supposed to do? What do you fucking want me to do? So go check out this one. I'm pretty positive will not be blurry. It looks like it's pretty clear on the camera.
No promises.
So we're going to get this out as quick as we can, get some clips up for you guys. Go engage with our posts. Check out our YouTube. All the links are in the description. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.